Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as I give you an update on all the plants that I started from seed indoors. So let's go. This video is long overdue. I needed to make it because before you know it, it's going to be time for me to get these plants out in my landscape. I have videos when I started a whole bunch of these seeds, so if you want to know more about that, you can always search my YouTube channel for those videos. Today's video is to just give you a close-up view of what my seedlings look like. I call them seedlings. Some of them still are seedlings, but some of them are full-grown plants. I wanted to show you what they look like and what my next steps are, what I'm doing right now in terms of care, and anything else that I want to share. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. We have these beautiful geraniums. I like to overwinter my geraniums bare root. I've been doing it for a number of years. I have a lot of videos showing you my process for bringing them in right before a frost, putting them in dormancy, and then eventually waking them up. If you're curious about how to do that, I'll put it in the description box below. I did not clean any of my plants up today. This is basically a raw video showing you real life what's going on in my grow room. The geraniums are fabulous. I am so excited with how they look. I just need to come in here and basically pull off any old leaves, any leaves that don't look good at this point, and just remove them. That always happens no matter what. When you have geraniums that you're growing indoors, you're always going to have some leaves that you just have to pull off. So I'm just doing that. And then the other thing I'm doing is I'm looking for any blooms that have gone by. And with those spent blooms, I'm following them all the way down, and I can just pull them off. You don't want to snip just at the top here. You want to take the whole stem off. And that just puts the energy into the plant to grow more flowers on here, and it tidies things up. So that's the only main maintenance I'm doing with my geraniums at this point. I have taken some cuttings from my geraniums, and I'll show you one of the cuttings that I've taken. It has rooted, but other than that, if I wanted to, I could take more cuttings, but right now I'm just so busy with other things that I don't have time to do it. They look really good. I am so pleased with these. And with some of the ones that look kind of like this, if I wanted to, I could come in and I could just cut it at the base. I'm okay with just leaving it for right now. It doesn't bother me. I'm just going to let it do its thing. And you can tell when you overwinter a geranium bare root, it might have areas that don't look so great, like this where this was last year's growth. It's fine because from a distance, you can't even tell. I love this color. I just think it looks so beautiful. I think they all look beautiful. So that's all I'm doing for maintenance, removing leaves. I'm still, while the plants are indoors, I'm bottom watering. We still have over 2 weeks left before my average last frost date. Within about another week or so, I'm going to start hardening these off. And then my plan for them is to put them in beautiful pots and containers on my porches. And I just wanted to turn the tray around so you could see this beautiful specimen over here. Look how gorgeous that is. They all look so healthy, so good. I am excited about having had these for free. I got all these geraniums for free from a few different places during the fall months. I highly recommend you try overwintering your geraniums. A lot of times people are giving them away for free in the fall time. I like to overwinter the bare root. I have one more tray, let me show you that. And here's the second tray of bare root geraniums that I woke up. I want to share that I only lost one of my geraniums when I woke all my geraniums up. All the other geraniums survived. They don't look great like this one here, and it's because they need water. So that's what I'm doing. As soon as I show you what a plant looks like, I am giving them a good drink of water. Otherwise, it's beautiful. I mean, look at this color. I just love that color. And we have some that are budded up. We have some that are blooming. I'm going to clean them up. I'm going to take off spent blooms. At this point, I'm bottom watering. And other than that, they're going to go back under my grow lights. So like that, just taking the leaves off. As pretty as this is, I would call that a bloom that has gone by. I'm following it down, and I'm just pinching it off. I could also use pruners. I could use scissors. This one also is looking pretty, but now we've seen it. We see how beautiful it is. At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and pinch it back. Turning it around, and I'm just removing any other leaves that don't look good. And now this is ready to be bottom watered. I showed you in a previous video how to take a cutting from a geranium and root it. I had planned on taking a bunch of cuttings. I never got around to it. I only did this one that I showed you in the video. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the roots look like on it. So I'm just squeezing the sides. And I don't want to disturb the roots much more, but you can see that it actually created quite a root system for how small of a cutting or plant this is. So all I'm going to do now is just pot it back up, but I wanted to show you that the cutting did really well, and it's actually an easy process to do. I highly recommend taking your own cuttings of your geranium plants. And any video that's related that I'm talking about today will be linked down below in case you're interested. Next year, one of my goals is to take a lot more cuttings of geraniums. I do enjoy starting geraniums from seed, but I also enjoy growing geraniums through cuttings. I think both methods are equally as fun. Look at these big leaves. I want the plant to continue putting energy into the roots and hopefully into creating buds. I'm going to go ahead and remove some of these leaves. I just think that they're too big and they're not necessary. There, that's a lot more manageable right there. And if I wanted to, I could remove one more, but for right now, I'll just leave it as is. The reality of starting a lot of plants from seed is that you run out of time, and sometimes you just don't bump up or pot up your plants as much as you want to. All of my Coleus are still in these very small 6-cell packs. If I had time, I would have bumped them up into 3-inch pots. That means I would have had bigger plants. It's not a contest. It's really just what are your goals when it comes to seed starting. Some of my goals are to create plants that are healthy, plants that are strong, and plants that will do okay once they go outside. So I'm very happy with these. I do want to point out I have this really tall one here, but notice it has side growth going on right there. If I wanted to, I could cut right here. I could take off these lower leaves, and I could put this in a small jar of water, and it would root for me and create a new plant. And not only that, it would then make sure that this plant is not as leggy. It would make it more bushy and compact. So there are just under 72 plants here, and these were from seeds that I collected myself. And when I named the seeds, it was just basically Coleus mix. And it's ×2, so 72 and 72 is about 144 Coleus mix plants that I have to play with. Here we have a beautiful tray that's almost full of Colocha rose. I bought these seeds probably 3 years ago from Baker Creek, and then I saved the seeds each year since then. I love this Coleus. It's so pretty. Now you might be noticing that this side, not only are the plants larger, but the leaves are a little more vibrant. And this side, the plants are smaller and they're not as vibrant. And the reason is I was able to pot up these plants first. And then the other side here, those were potted up later. And just like any of the plants I'm showing you today, would these plants have benefited from being bumped up or potted up? Absolutely. But are they okay and fine for me to put out in my landscape? Absolutely. They will take off and they will be fine. If anything, they have remained nice and compact, which is how I like them. I don't want them to be leggy. I could also, once again, come in here, take cuttings, and I could root them to create new plants if I wanted to. I just love this Coleus. I think it's so beautiful. This is mostly a tray. Again, these are seeds that I collected. You can see that it has like a green trim on the outside and it looks red in the middle. But then there are some others that look like this. It's really just a random assortment, and they're just seeds that I collected, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of plant they produce. Many of the seeds that I started this year were seeds that I collected, and that includes these plants for Impatiens. That's why there is a mix of colors. We have a beautiful light pink, we have basically this salmon color, there's a red color, and then there's even like a purplish pink color, and everything in between. I love that. I love that about collecting seeds. It doesn't bother me. I think these will look gorgeous in my landscape. You can see that they're happy. They're all budded up, and what I like about them is that they're not leggy. They're nice and short. I've had the light very close to them, and that's why they look as good as they do. I did make a video recently showing you an update on my impatient seedlings. You might have already seen that video, but nevertheless, I wanted to show you what the impatient seedlings look like in case you missed that video. It's the story of my life, my friends. I wish I had bumped these up into bigger 6-cell packs. I probably would not have bumped them up into 3-inch pots because it would have taken so many 3-inch pots to do that job. But look at them. I think they look perfectly fine, even though I didn't bump them up. But I am glad I started them when I did. If I started them any earlier, they actually would be suffering and they would not be doing as well. At this point, all these plants are still being bottom watered, and I'm also giving them a full strength of fertilizer because they're not seedlings anymore. They really are full-grown plants. And then I just have another partial tray, almost a full tray, of more Impatiens. I have way more than I need, but I'm not going to complain. I have a lot of projects in my yard that I want to use these in. So I got a lot, and again, I started these from seeds that I collected myself. And a while ago, I took cuttings off of my Impatiens, and I still need to pot them up, but that's what they look like in case you are interested in taking cuttings from Impatiens as well as Coleus, begonias, lots of different plants. And then you just take the cuttings once they've rooted and put them in some potting mix and in a pot. Here are some more Impatiens, and these are Impatiens that were seeds that I bought from Dollar Tree. They are quite a bit larger. They could be a different variety, I don't know, but they are budded up and they were potted up into much larger 6-cell packs. So that might be another reason why they're much larger than the other Impatiens. I'm just happy that I had such great success with the Dollar Tree seeds. I highly recommend it. For $1.25, I ended up with over 100 seedlings. You can't go wrong with that. I had made a video telling you that I was going to come in and take cuttings off of all my Impatiens, off these taller ones. I just haven't done it yet, but I will be doing it soon. I want these to be shorter, bushier, and then I'm going to take the cuttings and root them to create more plants. I don't really need more plants, but why not, right? So that's my plan with this tray as well as some other trays that I have. It feels like a jungle in here. Here's another tray. So each tray has 36 plants, so we're looking at 72 plants. I'm not going to bring the other tray out. I have a third tray. 36 times 3. That's how many of these Dollar Tree Impatiens seedlings I ended up with. And I'm very pleased, very happy with them. Two common themes with my seedlings this year, and I definitely won't say a theme was I shouldn't have started as many seedlings. I am happy with how many seedlings I started. It's more that I didn't come in and pinch back my plants. It's not too late. What I'm planning to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pinch back my dahlias. What that means is it's going to make them not bloom for another few weeks. It will push back the bloom time. I'm okay with that. I'd much rather have a shorter, sturdier plant that's healthier than a very leggy plant. So I can just come in here and take a cutting like down in this area here or right here, as long as it's above a leaf node. And then I can strip off the bottom leaves and I can put this in some potting mix and create more dahlias that way. That way I'm also making my plants shorter so that they can branch out. I'm hoping to get to it. I really need to get to it, but that's my plan with my dahlias. Otherwise, they look great. In this tray, there are 36 dahlias that we started from seed. And then here are some more dahlias that we started from seed. You can see what I'm talking about. They are flopping over. They want to branch out at the bottom here. I could just cut it right there, strip off the bottom leaves, and create a cutting out of that. One day, we have rain coming. That's going to be a big day for me to come in and just pinch back a bunch of my plants. It looks great, but it needs to be pinched back. And then there were some dahlias that I had overwintered, the tubers, and I brought them in with the intention of pinching them back. I haven't pinched it yet, but that's coming as well. I'm very pleased with how many dahlias I have here. Actually, let's go outside. I need a change of scenery. I want to show you some more dahlias. We're outside right now, and you can see I have a number of rolling carts. I'm going to bring you in for a closer look, and I'm just going to show you some of the plants that I started from seed out here that I'm now just hardening off. Actually, the dahlias I did not start from seed. These are dahlias that I overwintered, but I did promise that I would show you what they look like. So they are dahlia tubers that I overwintered, and they were in my garage during the winter months. My garage does not freeze. It stays about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And they look really good. I'm very pleased with how the dahlias are coming along. Given that I'm still 2 weeks away from my average last frost date, and I typically don't like to plant my dahlias in the landscape until a few weeks after my average last frost date, I consider that they have grown quite a bit since then. I bring them out during the warm days, but then at night they come back in my garage. I used this small rolling cart when I coached robotics, and it worked out really well back then. Now I'm using it to actually bottom water a lot of my plants that are outdoors. I find that watering the plants from above can be a little tricky. It's so much easier actually to plunk them in this rolling cart. I fill the rolling cart with water, and I also pour in a little bit of fertilizer. That way my plants that are outside and hardening off are not only getting a good drink of water, they're also getting fertilizer, which they still very much need. And depending on what the plant is, they get an organic fertilizer or they just get Miracle-Gro. In this case, this is lavender that I started from seed. They are not getting any fertilizer because lavender really doesn't need fertilizer. And they're actually not going to get a ton of water because I don't want them to get too much water and rot out. I am very pleased with how these lavender plants look. These were potted up a little bit later than some other lavender plants that I have that I'll show you shortly. But yeah, these were started from seed, and I think they look fantastic. And down in the bottom of the rolling rack is another 18 lavender plants that I started from seed. And that's what those look like. Any plants that are indoors have solid bottom trays. Now that they're outdoors and I'm bottom watering them like this, they have a mesh tray. I have found it is so great bottom watering it this way rather than watering from above, because sometimes you just don't get enough water in there. Also, I don't like to burn the top of my plants, so this method has been working out really well. Here are 18 more lavender plants that I started from seed. Some of them are still very small, but I still potted them up. But look over here. These lavender plants were started earlier than these lavender plants, and they really have put on a lot of growth. I always say I'm going to pinch back my plants. I never got to it, and they actually are bushing out very nicely considering I didn't pinch them back. And my goal for these plants right here is I actually want to get them out in the landscape. Usually you want to plant lavender right out in the springtime, but it's still a little cool and a little wet. I'm going to wait a little bit longer, but then I'm planning to plant them outside. Here's an update on some lavender that I started from seed last year and I overwintered in my garage. Some look a lot better than others, and I'm very pleased with how many I have here. They are nice and bushy. These are also going to get planted out in my landscape very soon. And I had shown you in a previous video my process for just cutting them back, and I did. I cut them back pretty hard. Here are a bunch of tomato plants that I started from seed. They have all been up potted to 3-inch pots. When I potted them up, I removed their bottom leaves and I tried to bury them as deep as possible. I didn't want very tall, leggy tomato plants. I clearly don't need all of these. I am planning to sell them this year. I'm going to keep probably 1 or 2 of each variety that I've grown from seed. The rest I will try to sell, and then anything I don't sell, I'm going to donate. And I'm not sure how many tomato plants are here, but there are a lot of tomato plants. Each tray has about 18 plants in it. And as we go down to the next level, we have another tray of tomatoes right there. And I'm now on my next rolling rack, and I have yet more tomatoes. Lots of tomatoes to offer for sale this year. It is so important to still be giving these plants fertilizer. I think that's a common mistake that a lot of us make, is as soon as we start hardening plants off for weeks outside before they go in the ground, we stop fertilizing them. You want to make sure you're still fertilizing your plants. And then down here on this bottom rack are yet more tomatoes. Here's a tray of rosemary that we started from seed, and look how beautiful they are. I'm very pleased that this was my first time growing rosemary from seed. And I have a number of plants here. And then here on the rolling rack are more rosemary plants. And I still have more inside that I need to pot up. Here are a number of petunias. There is a mix of petunias that I collected the seeds of, and then petunias that I bought the seeds from Dollar Tree. And I'm very pleased with how they look. They're all branching out very nicely. And some of them are even blooming, as you can see. I like to show you the size of pots I pot plants up in. When it came to my petunias, this is just a small 4-pack. It's not very deep, but the squares are, pretty big. I felt like this is a good size to pot up my petunia seedlings in. The peppers are doing very good. Lots of different kinds of peppers that we started from seed. I started a lot of California bell peppers, as well as jalapeno peppers. These peppers right here are jalapeno. They were potted up recently, so they're just undergoing a little bit of shock, but they'll be fine. And they are a little on the smaller side for my liking, but they will take off. Again, last night I think it was about 37 degrees Fahrenheit. Even though I brought the pepper plants in, there are still some very cold days, meaning we still have plenty of time for these peppers to take off. Here's another tray of pepper plants. And then more pepper plants here. And that's just a close-up of what the pepper plant looks like. And when I potted them up into small 3-inch pots. Here's a quick update on some lettuce that we started from seed during the middle of winter. We have really been enjoying the lettuce. I enjoy eating lettuce just out of a pot like this, rather than bringing it and putting it out in the landscape. It's just easier, it's convenient. So I come and bring a bowl outside and pick off lettuce as I need it. We've already gone through quite a bit of lettuce. This is what's remaining. And a quick update on some geraniums that I overwintered in my garage. You can see that some of them are looking good and some not as good. And I just blame it on watering. I try my best to water these plants, but there are a lot of plants to water. I'm happy with the amount of plants that did survive. And some of these are, expensive geraniums, so I'm glad that I was able to overwinter them. And I bought them on sale at the end of the year. This is a Regal geranium, and here's a different Regal geranium. I'm looking forward to potting these up into beautiful containers and letting them take off. The key is just basically keeping them alive and watering them right now, and soon enough we'll be potting them up. Do you remember when we started our canna lilies from seed? Well, here they are. They are looking really good. I tell you, they grow so fast. My goodness, I've had to pot them up so many times. That gives you an idea of how big that pot is. So for right now, they're okay in this size pot, but I will be potting them up one more time. I'm really happy with how they came out. It was a lot of fun growing cannas from seed. Now I want to see if they will bloom this year. That will be yet another experiment since I've never grown canna lilies from seed. Here we have a tray of Alpine strawberries. I have plenty of this plant in my yard. Someone asked me to make a video showing the process. I was happy to do that. I have plenty of plants here for my backyard plant nursery. And you can see they look wonderful. I still need to pot them up into 3-inch pots. I've already started potting up some, but these are still remaining. And we have more over here. Now let's go back outside. I'm going to show you the ones I've potted up so far. Here are some that I've potted up. These are out on my rolling cart. And I potted them up in these small 3-inch pots here. This is my backyard plant nursery where I sell plants. And I just want to show you the remaining Alpine strawberries that are down here. And here they are, looking all happy. And while we're down here, I just wanted to show you, here are the bulbing onions that we started from seed. And then I ended up potting them up and putting 9 plants per 3-inch pot. They're all looking very good. Here we have a mix of all different kinds of beautiful wax begonias. These are from seeds that I collected myself, so that's why we have so many different colors. I love it. I love that we have a mix here. And they are actually a good size. Last year I started my begonia seeds a little too early, and the plants got too big too fast. Now, begonias take a long time to start from seed, so you do want to time it just right. I am very happy with when I started these seeds, and next year when I start begonias from seed again, I'm going to follow the same schedule. They look very healthy. They're not too pot bound or root bound, and they'll be perfect when it comes time to get them out in the landscape. So we have almost a full tray here, so just a little less than 72 of the wax begonias. And I just love all the different colors in this tray. Here we have, you can see, a different shade of a leaf of wax begonia, and all of these will have white blossom on them. I grew these last year as well. I really enjoyed them. And you'll notice I don't have a name for these begonias because, again, they're from seeds that I collected myself, and that's how I started these plants. They just look so wonderful. I really enjoyed them last year, and I can't wait to have them in my landscape again this year. In this tray here, these are more of a white color. I just broke the flower off, but that's okay. You can see what it looks like. It's going to have a nice, beautiful white flower to these plants here. What I really love is just look how lush and green the leaves are. And timing-wise, I think it's perfect this year. These plants are not terribly big. Last year, I bumped them up into much larger 6-cell packs, and they were still getting too big and leggy. So timing-wise, I'm very pleased with the size of these plants, given that I still have a few weeks before I can plant them outside. And that is a lot of begonias right there, more than plenty. And I still have a little bit more. Let me show you what else is left. We just have a hodgepodge here. Mostly in this tray, we have this pink color with a dark leaf. And then we have a random assortment over in this tray. I'm just thrilled that we have flowers already. So the plants are pretty much, if you were to go to a nursery and buy plants, I think that this is about the size they would usually be. So we are right on schedule when it comes to the sizing of our begonias. And I think that's the hard part, is you want to have plants that are at the right size when you get them out in the landscape. You don't want them too far along. You don't want them too far behind. And that's why it's so important to keep track of when you start different plants from seed and then making notes of those and adjusting accordingly the next year. I almost took this restaurant takeout container out of here, but I think it's important to show you my reality, because I think a lot of you are in the same reality that I am in, which is I showed you earlier how many Coleus I was able to pull out of my restaurant takeout containers. Look at all that I still have not potted up. There are a ton of plants in here, and unfortunately, I might never get to potting these up. And I know that sounds horrible, but we do the best we can with potting up our plants. I would love to be able to. I think these are beautiful, but I just need to see if I have time. And you better believe it, I still keep bottom watering them, which is why they look okay. So hopefully, little guys, I will get to you, because what a shame, right? But let's talk about what they're in the same tray with. Here are more wax begonias, and you'll notice that they're not blooming. I'm guessing that these got potted up later than all the other wax begonias that I showed you. And that's totally fine. They'll bloom whenever they're ready. I don't think it's a matter of I started them too late, because I started them all on the same day. It's just a matter of I didn't get them potted up until a little bit later. They still look very good. You can see that they are nice and big. It's just that they're not blooming yet. They will bloom when they're ready. The seedlings say, "Save the seedlings, save the seedlings." Okay, I will save the seedlings. How many do you think are in there? I wish you could smell the sweet alyssum. It smells so good. I'm very happy with these plants, but I can tell you, usually in past years, I've been very good about potting these up into 3-inch pots. I didn't get to it. And because I didn't get to it, there were many days that these poor guys dried out. But I look at them right now and I feel like it's all right. I mean, they look very good still. But I have to be honest with you. And, my reality is I didn't get to potting them up. Had I potted them up, they would definitely be a little more robust. But honestly, I'm very pleased. I think they look very good. And we have a whole tray of them here, which is exciting. I normally grow just the plain white alyssum, which I really like, but I'm thrilled to have this one that has a little hint of purple in it. And honestly, this is plenty of alyssum for me. I don't really need much more than this, but let me show you a little bit more, because I have a little more alyssum left. I'm not just going to show you my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, wonderful plants and then hide the ones that don't look good, because that's not being realistic. And I want you to feel like I'm a gardener just like you're a gardener. These guys need water. Every single day, these guys need water. I will give them water. They will bounce back. Some look okay. Some don't look as good, like over here. These look better. These are the white alyssum, as you can tell from the blossoms here. And even if half of these survive, it's more than plenty. But I just had to show you it, that this is reality gardening. And I'm not going to hide it from you, because we all go through this together. And the good news is, now that I pulled this tray out, you better believe I'm going to give them water, because they're begging for water. I suddenly feel better after looking at this tray. I'm like, oh, that last tray was so sad. Why did I show it? Okay, well, look at this. This is so much better. This is, it started off as a full tray, right? I always try to put viable seedlings and fill up a whole tray and all that good stuff. But then every so often, seedlings do die. It's inevitable. But there are quite a few plants in here, and I am thrilled. Oh, this just made my day. I'm so happy. So anyway, white alyssum, a whole tray of them, or almost a whole tray of them. And then another tray of more alyssum, and definitely there's some purple in here. These might all be purple actually, but they just haven't turned. These look very good as well. They're just a little on the smaller side because I probably potted them up afterwards. I'm not going to go over anything that hasn't woken up yet. I'll just tell you quickly, these are some caladium that I'm trying to wake up. They're just taking forever. But anyway, I am trying to wake up some caladiums. Okay, June, I am thinking of you. These are vinca, as some of you might already know. None of them are blooming yet, which is perfectly fine. Vinca takes quite a while from seed to bloom, but look just how beautiful and lush the foliage is. Last year, I bumped up my vinca into larger 6-cell packs. They are still in these smaller 6-cell packs, but they look very good that I'm perfectly happy and fine that I did not bump them up. I also had intended to pinch them back. I didn't do that. Instead, what I did was make sure that the light is just above the plants so that they wouldn't get too tall and leggy. But I think if I do pinch them back, it would benefit the plant. What I'm thinking of doing on that rainy day that's coming up soon is coming in here and pinching every other plant so that I have some blooms that will eventually show up and then others that will show up later. Because I want to have bushier plants. What I found with vinca is if I don't pinch them back, they just get very tall and leggy, and then they bloom, but they stay tall and leggy. So I think I really should pinch back every other plant, and that way I have a succession of blooms. Here we have another tray of vinca. So the last tray had about 72 plants. This one has also about 72 plants. These were all vinca that were from seeds that I collected myself. I didn't buy any of the seeds. And you can see for these ones, they are starting to bud up, which is very exciting. I also like what I see down here. The plants are nice and short. They look like they are branching out. So they actually look very good and very healthy. They're not like tall and leggy. Vinca is a plant that doesn't like a lot of water. It is drought tolerant. So I'm actually going to be planting these at the cemetery spot where my in-laws are. I think these would look very pretty there. And in case we don't get a lot of rain, then these plants will thrive in that situation. And then of course I'm going to plant some in my yard as well. I found a few more vinca plants, and there probably are others hiding here and there. You get the point. We have lots of vinca to play with this year. I'm excited about this plant. This is called Balsam, and Balsam is a type of Impatiens. It's different than the normal Impatiens that you know of, but it is called Balsam's Impatiens. I have quite a few trays of these, and this video is getting so long that I don't even want to show you anymore. Just know that I have probably 2 more trays of this plant. They look wonderful. I'm really happy, very pleased with them. And look how they look. I love the leaf structure on them. And they are still in their small little 6-cell packs. And most of the balsams that I grew from seed were from seeds that I collected myself. I am so excited about this plant. This is gomphrena. I collected the seeds of gomphrena, and I did a number of different colors. I have over 3 trays. So each tray, if they were full, which this the cell doesn't have anything in it, but each tray has about 72 plants in it. And then I have just over 3 trays. That's a lot of gomphrena. I have lots of different colors. I've never grown this from seed, and so I think they look good. Time will tell. I'm not sure how big they should be when I'm 2 weeks away from my average last frost date. But what will be good is for me to see when will these bloom. Then I can always start them earlier next year if need be. And unless I need to start them much earlier next year, I'll do the same thing. I'll start them in the restaurant takeout container like I do with a lot of my other seeds, and then I'll bump them up into these small 6-cell packs. There are some plants that died in here, but there are many that survived. This is a plant that I've never grown from seed. It's called Tithonia. You can see that they're at different stages. Some are much bigger, some are much smaller, some are in between. But there are a lot of plants here, and honestly, I don't even know where I would put this in my own landscape. I have some ideas, but the goal is to also sell some of these. And a friend of mine that has a backyard plant nursery, she's also going to be selling some of these for her nursery. So there are quite a few Tithonia here, also known as Mexican sunflower. I think they look very good. And that's just what the side of them look like. I also adopted a garden spot 30 minutes from my house. I might end up bringing some Tithonia there. I think these would look pretty in that garden area. Other than this tray, I know I have another tray of Tithonia. It might not be a full tray, but it's a pretty good size of plants that are in that tray as well. Here is a wonderful tray of snapdragons, and I have a couple more trays of snapdragons. I won't show you them because they all look the same. I have snapdragons in different colors, and they are still in their small little 6-cell packs. I did intend to come in here, like you keep hearing me say it, I'm really sorry, that I should have come in and cut these back so that they could branch. Now, whenever you do that, and I mentioned this earlier, whenever you cut back plants, it's beneficial because the plant will become bushier and will branch more. However, it also sets it back from blooming. And right now, if you look at them, they are just starting to, I believe, bud up. And snapdragons like cool weather. They do well in cool weather. At this point, I don't think it's beneficial to cut them all back. I can do the same thing. I can come in here and cut back maybe half of my snapdragons. That way I get a succession of blooms. Also, I could take the cuttings and I could root them like I can root many of the other plants that we've talked about. Personally though, I have so many plants I'm taking care of, it's not worth it for me to root my snapdragons. But if you want to, you can definitely do that. And this is almost a full tray, minus a few that died, of snapdragons. So we have 72 snapdragons and then a couple of more trays just like this one. Because I start so many plants from seed, which is something I really enjoy doing, I end up getting to a point where I lose my mojo for potting up. Do you ever do that, or is it just me? So a lot of these, I think they look good, but they probably should have been potted up, although I'm not seeing the roots really coming out of the bottom. I am planning on basically babying a lot of plants that don't go out right away. So in the short term, there are a number of plants I will start putting out in my landscape over the next week. Aster will not be one of them. I would love to come in here and pot these up into 3-inch pots, let them grow on a little bit bigger. And maybe by the end of May, which is Memorial Day weekend, and technically that's when a lot of people do plant stuff out in New Hampshire, hopefully by then my aster will be a nice big size. That's what I'm planning to do with any other plants that I show you for the remainder of this video that just never put on a great amount of size. I just want them to be a little bit bigger. Yes, there were losses here, but in many situations, I put 2 plants in each cell. So I can always take one of them and I can move them into these empty cells. The same rule will apply. These are salvia. They are very small. I will be babying these. They need water, like a lot of plants do. And I will baby them, and I'm going to let them grow a little bigger. I will most likely be bumping them up into 3-inch pots. I want them to put on some size, so by the end of May, I can get them planted in my landscape. And I'll have other things that will be blooming while we wait for these to go in the landscape. And I have a few trays of salvia, so I have a lot of salvia to play with. This squirrely mess is trailing lobelia. I have a lot of work to do with trailing lobelia. Usually every year, I'm very good about coming in, cutting back the trailing lobelia. Every year, I usually pot up all my plants into 3-inch pots. I haven't gotten to that yet. I don't think they're going to make it into 3-inch pots. I'm planning to get these put out in my landscape. But what I am going to do is I'm going to be cutting them back, and that's okay. That just means they're going to bloom later. No problem. I'm going to cut them back, and I'm going to propagate them so I can make more plants. And the reason is, I think I might have one more tray of lobelia, but I don't have as much as I usually grow of this plant. I think there are about 72 plants here. It probably is enough, but just to play it safe, I'm going to take cuttings and I'm going to root them just so I can have more plants. And then these plants can get nice and bushy and get bigger. Here we have a bunch of African daisy. I definitely want to come in and I want to pinch these back and I want to bump these up into 3-inch pots because I don't want them leggy and I want them to branch out. So I plan on actually, before I pinch back any other plants, I'm going to tackle these because there's not many to do. And I think that's important when we're trying to think about prioritizing our plants and what's next. There are not a lot of plants here, and I know I can get this job done. in a fairly quick amount of time. So pot them up into 3-inch pots and cut them back. See if I can take the cuttings and root them, because I've never rooted African daisy or osteospurmum before, so that would be a good experiment. And then over here, not many plants, but these are habanero peppers, and they were seeds I got from Dollar Tree. I don't have many plants. Well, I mean, I have, when you think about habanero peppers, how many plants does one person need? Really, like I only need 2. Now, it doesn't look like a lot of plants here. To be honest with you, and to be fair to Dollar Tree, I don't know if it was me or if it was the seed. I will just blame it on me. I probably did something wrong when it came to germinating their seeds. I know I started these seeds later than all my other pepper seeds. Why I only have this many plants, I'm not sure, but I'll blame it on me. It's okay. I still have more than enough habanero pepper plants here. This was my first year growing amaranth from seed, and I have probably 3 trays, maybe 4 trays of this plant. I really didn't think I was going to have great germination with these seeds, and clearly I did have very good germination. I didn't do anything special with these plants. They dry out all the time on me, so I feel like I'm not doing them justice, even though from above they look good. When you look at them from the bottom, they look very leggy. I think I need to bury them deeper when they go out in the landscape, although I don't need all these plants, and I probably should be selling them for my plant nursery. So if I have time, I should pot them up and bury them deep, and I think that would benefit the plant greatly. So a ton of amaranth. But I'm very pleased with how the plants look. I think they look very good, given that even though they are a little leggy. The beauty of gardening is we're always learning. We never give up learning. I love learning when it comes to gardening. I love sharing with you lessons learned, things I could have done differently. I also love hearing from you. I love when you share with me anything that's going on in your garden. I want to know what worked for you this year when it came to seed starting, and what's something that you would do differently. Please drop it down in the comments below. I think we all can learn from each other. I love to read all your comments, but other people love to read the comments as well. So keep the sharing going in this video as well as other videos. If you have any questions, please drop them down below. I am excited to get these plants out in my landscape, in pots, in containers, you name it. My son graduates college in a month, and I have a personal goal to get as many of my plants out in my landscape before then. We're not having a party. We don't have anyone coming over. I want the plants to just thrive. I want the plants to do well. It was a long winter taking care of all these plants, but it's now time to get them out where they need to be. Follow along as I bring you on the journey with what I'm going to do with these plants. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.